they made the finals and lost. They then were the #1 seed, and then famously Luka cooked them. They then traded for Durant and lost in the second round, then lost in the first round, and this year, even though the Mavs might have to forfeit games because they don't have enough players, they still can't catch the Mavs for the play-in. Are you shocked this has gone as poorly as it has?
Well, first, let me say this about that game last night. You heard there's video of Luka saying to his teammates, I've never been this open in my life.
You're right. Like, and LeBron's not even out there. It's
right. I mean, and KD said at one point to Luka, like, you know you're not going to get that in the playoffs. I don't want to hear KD talk about the playoffs. I mean, you're not even going to be in the playoffs, most likely. So what are you doing talking? I am shocked. I am surprised when Kevin Durant went there. They were just a couple years removed from being in the finals, as your graphic showed, and from being in the second round, and people thought they were going to get further than that, but Luka upended them. And you got Devin Booker, who's a legitimate star. He's not in club superstar, I don't think, is he?
I think he might have made it. You know what? I got to check.
He's right.
Somebody check the club superstar archives, please, and report back.
He's been knocking on the door. He's a great player. Bradley Beal, I didn't necessarily love that move, but still, Beal can play when he's healthy. And, you know, I don't want to overstate their supporting cast, but Royce O'Neal can do some things. Tyus Jones, they went out and got him.
People liked the Tyus Jones pickup this summer.
I did like that. And in the past, I liked Nurkic, who I know is not there anymore. But this is an indictment on Kevin Durant. He does get some grace because he's 36. He's in his 17th year. So it's like, you're not supposed to be leading teams, you know, at that stage of your career. But it tells you, I don't want to, like, he's putting up numbers. That's what he's doing. He's putting up numbers. He's still a great offensive player as far as scoring, but he's not impacting the game at all. You mentioned it. Dallas has all of its top players injured. Wemby is out for San Antonio, and you're still in the 11th spot. Like, this is ridiculous, and it does speak to Kevin Durant and his lack of leadership, and at this stage of his career, lack of impact on the game. You're going out there hitting jump shots. That's what you're doing, but you're not impacting the game.
All right, so a couple things. One is, I should have known, club superstars, its impeccable reputation remains. Devin Booker was kicked out last year. We saw this coming. Devin Booker was kicked out of club superstar last year, so he was in it briefly after the finals appearance and then quickly kicked out of there. Also, I was called a madman when the Suns traded for Bradley Beal, and I was like, this is dumb. There's a very viral video of me saying I would rather have Austin Reeves as a third best option than Bradley Beal. That made you say that it made you twist that into me saying the Lakers had a big three, which I didn't say.
I had to twist too much. It wasn't a lot of twisting.
I thought what the Suns were doing was just making a copy of a copy of a copy, and each thing got worse.
Chris Paul, they moved in that deal?
Yes, and a bunch of swaps and all their second-round picks because they were out of
Chris Paul.
Well, they should have done a lot of things. What you shouldn't do is take Kevin Durant and then pair him for a slightly worse version of Kevin Durant, which is Devin Booker, and then a much worse version of Devin Booker, which is Bradley Beal. It's just this. It's just the same type of player three times with diminishing returns. This is also why the NBA has the Ted Stepien rule. Because Matt Ishbia, if you read this article over the weekend, great job by Tim McMahon getting these quotes, he just wants to keep tripling down. The Suns either have traded away or have swapped away all of their picks until 2032. So they've traded away their first rounder.
So the ones they couldn't trade outright,
they swapped. and then in a couple instances they traded the swaps for other swaps, which means they're either getting the worst or the third or worst option. So they have no path. And so I did not think they would be awful. I thought they'd be.
You thought they'd be in the play-in at the
exactly
very least.
Right. I thought that they were. I thought it was foolish that they were trading all this stuff when I didn't think a championship was possible. I didn't think they were trading all this stuff and the playoffs were going to be unlikely. That's what it is. So let me, real quick, Because you're saying this about Durant.
I was going to say, where are you? Is this more about Booker?
I think it's about the team. I mean, no, I think they've all kind of just waved the white flag on the season. My question to you is, do you think Durant, like, let's say he had okayed the trade to Golden State. Do you think he, in that context, in that situation, still has the ability to contribute to a championship-level team?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. With other guys being the leaders.
Okay.
And what he has to do is go in there and do what he does best, which is score.
Yeah.
He would be great in Golden State. I mean, Jimmy Butler has him looking great.
Year.
I think, yeah, but I'm just out on Dallas as Kyrie. Who knows when he'll get back? But look, Golden State, this isn't likely, but Denver, he could really help Denver. And what might be likely is Minnesota. I like him in all of those spots because Ant Edwards would be the leader. Yeah. Obviously, Golden State, and in Minnesota,
you're leaving out the best spot, which the only way this can happen is if they really, really fall on their face in the playoffs. But the best spot's OKC.
Well, that's if they fall on their face, which I don't expect.
I don't expect either, but they would have to lose basically round 2. They can't lose round 1; it's impossible. But if they were to lose,
they'd have to get beaten handily. Like if they lose in 7
then
in round 2,
you don't think he can go there?
I just think he could go there. Like, if I'm OKC,
you're just running it.
I'm just letting my young boys develop. Like this, Chet is going to get great experience.
It would just be such a good storybook.
It'd be a great
story. If he could finish his career
absolutely.
There. All right, I'm of the belief that a lot of coaches after playing the Thunder feel this way. So here's the most free throw attempts this season. Everyone's 100. You know, Giannis and Shai are the only ones past 500. They're both way past 500. Now, Giannis, I understand it. The guy just puts, goes.
Because he's leading in per game.
He's leading in per game. And he is the type of guy who, and leave this up for a second, who historically, the big, giant, strong guy who goes to the basket. These 4 other guys all got something in common. They all worshipped at the altar of James Harden, learned from him, and the flopping and the grabbing and the your arm's here, I'm going to chicken wing you and then flail that way. And so the reason that this is actually not, to me, a Pistons story, but actually an OKC story is, I do think SGA has gotten, he knows how to properly manipulate the officials. And that's a skill, and I give him credit for it. But that's a skill that historically doesn't work as well in the playoffs. Do you expect him to keep getting this type of whistle come the postseason?
Well, the whistle will change a bit. I don't put SGA in the same class as Harden. Like, I thought Harden, and he still can do it, but I thought he was much worse, and if that's the word, at doing things, flailing or hooking guys than SGA.
Really?
Yeah. I put Trey in that class.
Jalen.
He's smart at doing it. Jalen, yeah, and Jalen's smart with it too, but
Jalen does it on defense. Jalen run around, act like you push him on defense.
I look at this too. SGA and Jalen, they get to the mid-range a lot too.
Yeah.
And they attack the basket, which not a ton of guys do as much now as they should. And so I think that enables them to get to the line as well. But here's the deal. Harden, and I know, we always talk about his diminishing performance in the playoffs, but if you look at it, he averaged, I think, 8.2 free throw attempts for his career in the regular season. It's 7.5 in the playoffs. So it's not much different. When Shai was in the playoffs last year, he hasn't been there a lot. Yeah. Last year, averaged like 8.7 attempts in the regular season, 8.1 in the playoffs. So I think he's still going to get to the line. Now he's getting there 9 times. The whistle, they let you play a little more, but I don't think it'll be a huge problem for OKC. He's getting there 9 times. He'll get there 8 times in the playoffs.
So here's the only pushback I'll have on this. And this is kind of a first cousin of something you said the other day when we were talking about the refs and Luka. When you're like, the refs are human. And you were talking about in the context of Luka is such an antagonist that sometimes they you know what I mean? Right. They might let their feelings get the better of them. The refs are human. And the Shai, the clips of Shai manipulating the refs, you know what I mean? Grabbing a guy's arm and then going. At this point, they have to be aware of it. It's been so, ubiquitous on kind of NBA social media the last, call it, it really seems to have crescendoed over the last couple of weeks, that I just wonder if there might be more refs who feel like, man, he's been tricking us. Like this one right here is a perfect example.
Yeah.
I mean, he grabs his arm and then jumps backwards. And listen, that if you get away with it, it's smart. I just wonder if this is has risen to the level of the refs are taking notice as well.
Well, like you said, those videos are all over the place. Harden's were too, and I would say even to a greater extent, at least for the time. And so, again, Harden still got calls in the playoffs, went a little bit less to the line. So I think SGA will still be fine.
OKC, the Lakers, and Denver. My question, with the Warriors, not right in that group, but the Warriors right there, have the Warriors replaced Denver in that top three?
Yes. Now I'm not completely writing Denver off, but I like the Lakers, OKC, and the Warriors with Denver right behind.
So they literally flip.
They flip-flop. Yep. Like, look, and this is going to be Denver's still a very good team. So I'm counting them as a contender. This will be a great test to show us what Golden State really is. Because they've beaten Houston.
And they've beaten a bunch of teams who are also without one of their, without one of their best guys or without one of their stars.
So they haven't, in this 14-2 stretch with Butler, they haven't beaten great teams. So this is like that first contender. They have a chance to show us what they're about. But when I look at Golden State, I mean, just watching them, Butler gives them the toughness that Draymond gives them. So now you got two guys that do that. This isn't even playoff Jimmy. He's going to be better in the playoffs. He gives them the mid-range game they really didn't have with Steph shooting so many threes now and other guys shooting a lot of threes. He gets to the foul line, something they didn't have. And defensively, they've been great since he's been there. So I'm starting to really like Golden State's chances, and they also know how to get it done. Denver, and you've alluded to this before in the past, outside of the year they won it and then they got to a conference finals another year, they've gone out. They've had a lot of seasons like this where they go out in the first or second round.
Yeah.
And so they got to do a better job of building around Jokic.
And the year
they don't have the depth. They don't shoot many threes. They're last in the league in three-point attempts. You are wasting one of the best players of all time by not going all in every year with it.
No, instead it's the opposite. They lose a key piece each year.
Yep.
And the one conference finals other than the title year, they were this close to going out in 5 in round 2. Yep. They were down 3-1 to the Clippers and then down 20 in game 5, 6, 7, and that was just the really peak of R.I.P. Bruce Clippers, just the meltdown.
That was special.
Listen. Title, just 30 seconds here, Dust. Title Pie gave the Warriors respect for the first time as a real contender. You keep winning
What'd
games.
you give them, 3%?
I think 6. I think I jumped them up 6%.
Oh, last week.
Yes.
When
you weren't here.
I was about to say, I was like.
No. I was
like
saying
3%.
without you. No.
Okay.
They moved up. I can't believe I'm saying this. I think I'm just out on Denver.
Totally. What slice of the pie did they get last week?
I don't remember, but it's going to be less. Because it'd be one thing if it's like, oh, Joker's in a bit of a slump. Joker's been awesome.
Right.
And it's just the guys around him, they're not good enough. And Joker seems to be worried too. Joker's I don't believe in a playoff gear. Like, you are who you are. He seems concerned. The Warriors being almost 5-point favorites tonight is a statement.
Well, this is a huge game. Yeah. I'll give you, when you play the Lakers, South Bay Lakers as you call them, okay, naturally you're going to come down. Okay, where's everybody?
Yeah.
The Wizards?
And then the next game against the Wizards, it's bad, man. That was a bad weekend. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.